How many extremist Islamic groups do you have of the 1,500 or so organizations you have on your hate map?
Again, anyone can go to our website.
My office has been looking over it and we can't really find one.
Again, it is the SPLC's.
You think
right.
SPLC could provide us a list of the Islamic-oriented groups that you have on your hate map?
Mr. Roy, we don't target any group because of its religion.
Really?
I want to be clear about that.
Really?
Yes, that's exactly right. We target no group because of its religion. We target groups because they express statements and engage in activities that demean.
Before we decide who's right in this hearing, there's a bigger question worth asking. Who gets to define a hate group, and what standards should they be held to? Chip Roy challenged the Southern Poverty Law Center over its hate map, arguing that its labels are applied inconsistently. One verified fact is that the 2012 Family Research Council shooters cited the SPLC's website, although there's no evidence the SPLC encouraged the attack. The organization condemned the violence and still defends its methodology. The SPLC says its hate map primarily tracks domestic extremist groups, which is part of its response to criticism about the absence of many Islamist organizations. Roy raises a legitimate question about transparency and consistency. The SPLC argues it has a First Amendment right to publish its research and classify groups using its own criteria. Whether those standards are fair remains the heart of the debate. If you enjoyed this analysis, subscribe and share your thoughts below. Should organizations like the SPLC have greater accountability when labeling groups as hate organizations?
Texas is recognized.
Thank the chairman and thank the witnesses. I'd like to observe Mr. Panger, who both served in the Office of the Attorney General of the state of Texas. I want to thank you for your service there. Mr. Fair, in 2012, the Family Research Council was attacked and the guard in the front of the building was shot. The head of the Family Research Council, Tony Perkins, made quite note at the time of Southern Poverty Law Center's involvement in that and putting Family Research Council on their so-called hate map. Has the SPLC ever acknowledged that its designation contributed to that attack?
Congressman Roy.
Yes or no?
I can't answer that question with a yes or no. You asked me if I
Did they retract, correct, or reconsider the listing of the Family Research Council on its hate map?
The Family Research Council is listed on our hate map because it meets the criteria.
To this day, you continue to keep the Family Research Council on its hate map. Is that true?
The Family Research Council remains on the hate map because it meets the criteria that we use for.
Which criteria?
The Family Research Council is an anti-LGBTQ.
Okay, so on your website, you used to have language on there defending your position on the Family Research Council, and you had language saying that other groups, like Focus on the Family, are not included, and you use that as your defense. Well, that language is now gone, and Focus on the Family is now noted as a hate group.
Mr. Roy.
Can you explain that?
Congressman Roy, we take no pleasure in listing any group, and we wish the list was empty. But we have the constitutional right to express our opinion.
How many leftist anti-Jewish groups do you have listed on your website? Name them.
Anyone listening to this can go to our website and see our Year in Hate and Extremism report was released this morning.
How many extremist Islamic groups do you have of the 1,500 or so organizations you have on your hate map?
Again, anyone can go to our website.
My office has been looking over it and we can't really find one.
Again, it is the SPLC's.
You think
right.
SPLC could provide us a list of the Islamic-oriented groups that you have on your hate map?
Mr. Roy, we don't target any group because of its religion.
Really?
I want to be clear about that.
Really?
Yes, that's exactly right. We target no group because of its religion. We target groups because they express statements and engage in activities that demean and vilify.
So you brought up LGBTQ groups a second ago.
Roy.
So you brought up LGBT groups a minute ago. So you think there's a bunch of Islamic groups that are pro-LGBTQ? Is that the position of the SPLC? I just want to make sure the record is reflecting that.
Mr. Roy, as I said, we target no group or label no group because of its religion. We target groups and label groups because of what they say about others. And we have a constitutional right to do that, and we will continue to do that.
How long did it take for you to criticize the attacks on October 7th?
Mr. Roy,
Was it immediate?
we were clear and loud about our criticism of the Hamas attack on Israel on October 7th.
My research shows that it took you at least 3 weeks to finally say anything, and then you attacked and criticized Israel.
Mr. Roy,
Do you think the record reflects that, or am I incorrect?
Mr. Roy, as I said, the SPLC has a 55-year history of fighting anti-Semitism. It speaks for itself.
And yet the response to the targeting the Family Research Council was to defend yourself for having focused on the family, and then you immediately, and you pulled down from the website that defense. It was your only defense.
Well, first, Mr. Roy, speakers in the United States don't need to defend their speech. We have free speech. And so
Well,
everyone should understand that.
Yeah, you do here on the record have to defend the position of an organization that has now been indicted and has superseding indictment based on very clear indications of the way the money is flowing in order to target very specific groups and to potentially defraud your donors, not to mention, by the way, banks. If I had a little more time, I'd like to have a little bit more conversation about debanking and your engagement with banking. But the last question I'll ask you is, with respect to Charlie Kirk, have you all taken any position since Charlie Kirk
Mr. Roy, we unequivocally condemned the murder of Charlie Kirk.
What about the listing of Charlie Kirk?
It is our position that TPUSA expresses views and vilifies other people based on immutable characteristics, exposing them to our listing.
Mr. Chairman, I have a couple of unanimous consent requests.
Objection.
I have several documents here. November 2025 Hate Watch from the Southern Poverty Law Center, in which hearing or the work that I've done on Sharia law was included in
Objection.
Hate Watch without objection. Another one here, anti-Muslim bigotry, in which work we did in this very room, in the subcommittee on the Constitution, highlighting concerns with Sharia law, were included in the Hate Watch. I'd like to insert those in the record.
Objection. Gentleman yields back.
Mr. Chairman, I have UC request.
Gentleman's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move to enter into the record a letter from the Jewish Council of Public Affairs